We're going to shift gears and talk some basketball and how the Mavs can avoid last season's second half swoon. Now, do you remember what happened coming out of the All-Star break last year?
They traded away things,
was that during the break? I don't know, but I don't remember feeling great about the team. You're in a weird spot, but I wasn't feeling as bad as the second half progressed.
Sure, that is very fair. Now, keep in mind, we say second half of the season, but there's only 27 games left.
Right.
So, But after the All-Star break, Dallas lost 10 of its next 15 games. So they went 5-10. Yeah. And then they would proceed from there to continue to struggle and go 6-15 after the break.
And it felt like even if they were in close games, besides the one where Kleba hit the shot against the Lakers, literally it felt like they lost every game in the final 3 minutes that they had a chance to win.
And now, you do that again, you might just hold on to a play-in spot, but your season feels essentially over. I'm not predicting that's going to happen whatsoever, but do you have any concerns looking back at the way last year played out, or do you see the way this team has been playing, the moves they made, and think, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about getting into the top 6 more realistically.
I'm on that side right now, Mike.
Okay.
I feel like this team, you just injected positive energy into this thing. And I see a team right now that I think is like really focusing on getting a higher seed, enjoying playoff basketball, being part of that right now.
Corey, I totally agree.
Oh,
I am optimistic about what we can see this last stretch of the season. Now, will it all come together for an NBA championship? Probably not.
Sure.
That would be very quick to trade for P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford and have them play approximately 30 minutes of a 48-minute playoff game. That's a lot to ask for it to all come together, to get kind of 2 new starting players and for it to all come together. But last year, what was so difficult is Dorian Finney-Smith was your best defensive player by far, and you're taking him off the team. Spencer Dinwiddie was playing 30-plus minutes a night, and you're taking him off the team. Then you add a star player to your team who's never played with Luka Doncic before, and they're trying to figure each other out and never really did figure out how to mix their games together well. Kyrie and Luka are figuring it out. Is it perfect? It's not perfect. Their games are not perfect together and never will be perfect together. But they're much more cohesive now than they were. You don't have to worry about that. The concern is, and I'm not that concerned about it, is working in 2 really good role players into consistent minutes. In the trade, you didn't trade anybody getting consistent minutes. Grant Williams at times was getting 8 minutes or 28 minutes. He wasn't Dorian Finney-Smith. He wasn't a guy. You are taking 2 people off of your rotation that are tremendous in your rotation in Dinwiddie and Finney-Smith. You didn't trade. Yeah, Seth Curry wasn't even playing. Like, you didn't trade anybody who was getting major minutes on your team to kind of go, okay, we lost that chemistry. How are we going to bring in this chemistry? I'm optimistic, and I think, Kevin, I'll leave it at this. Tonight's a big game for me. I'm not going to say that this is a end-all, be-all. They're not going to be good or be good. But if you aren't giving up offensive rebounds, if you are making it difficult to score around the basket, if you're getting easy buckets, I don't know how Luka and Kyrie are going to play the first game out of the break. Neither do I know about Durant and Booker. I'll call him regular name for now. I think that this could be a very, very scary team for the rest of the Western Conference.
And by the way, Kevin Durant agrees with you, definitely not with your nickname for Devin Booker, but about the that's you maybe so touche is Kevin Durant said this talking about the Mavs game. Good test for us. They've been playing well lately. They've got some new additions to their team that will challenge us. It's a great game to start the second half of the season with. So again, I agree with you. Win or lose, I'm not going to come in tomorrow and make a definitive statement.
It's over.
Champs. I don't feel like I will say that, but here's what it can do is last year, there are definitely some similarities between this year's team and last year's team in terms of positioning in the standings. Last year, coming out of the All-Star break, they were 3.5 games behind the Clippers for the number 3 seed. This year, coming out of the All-Star break. They're 5 games back of the Clippers for the number 3 seed. Now, I'm not saying that means you make a charge at the 3 seed, but that shows you how close you are and how the Mavs spiraling out immediately killed any hopes of that. And then obviously you started moving down the standings.
This could get fun. It could get not concerning. I'm not concerned about this. I think Nico Harrison has done a very good job at changing this team. Am I saying it's the best team in the NBA? No. Is it a championship contender? Not yet, but it has the look that it could be
and
down the road.
Much more so than 3 weeks.
That's what I did want to add. Now, I know, Kevin, you're talking specifically about this year, and what Mike said to start off there was, is it going to be a championship this year? I don't think so, but what we see is we have a few years to work with some of the additions that you've made, and that can be a positive to build on. Like, again, we didn't expect that team to go to the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago. Like, nobody expected that.
And since they followed it up with not making the playoffs, everybody goes, that was fake. That was just
but
they
Luke
got
is
lucky.
Luke is not a player that is just going to get lucky like that if he has better talent, in my opinion. And Kyrie has the experience to do that as well. And now you have some players that have the physical athleticism to actually run along with this team.
And you know what? Talking about some of those players, here is a bonus. Dante Exum has missed, I believe, 19 of the last 21 games. Jason Kidd said that Exum, who the knee injuries kept him out since January 27th, has not had a setback and might return during the 4-game road trip. So you hit up the Suns tonight, or I guess rather they come to the AAC, and then you start your 4-game road trip. And Kidd was throwing out there, hey, maybe that will be a spot for Exum. And I know we've had a conversation about what Exum can and will continue to actually contribute. But I will tell you this, before you made the trades, he damn sure was one of your better players this year. And I like the idea of him being back as another option.
To your point, I thought you could argue a month ago in order Luka, Kyrie, Lively, Exum. Those were your 4 best players. Now, you could say Hardaway Jr. 5th, or you could say Hardaway Jr. 4th and then Exum 5th. But I thought those are probably your 5 best players. Not the 5 best guys to close with, but maybe you had to. You just put out your best 5 and go, we're going to go really small and then also super young. But now you don't have to. Now you don't have to put the pressure on Lively this year. Hey, we've made the playoffs, and let's just say you're playing the Denver Nuggets. I'm not happy about that matchup, by the way. If you get unlucky with that, you get unlucky with that in your first-round matchup if they're healthy. Like, all right, man, hey, you just turned 20. You're going to take on the best player in the world for about 40 minutes a night and see how that goes? Like,
good luck.
Now you have backup plans. So I don't know when it comes to these last 27 games. Jason Kidd, to me, is going to have to work his butt off and try to figure out who are the 7 guys that are going to get regular minutes in the playoffs, and then who's my 8th guy that will kind of get playing time. And that's all you go with in the playoffs. I do know, yes, there's a Corey Brewer who had a big moment, or a Jan Mahimi who had a big moment. They weren't playing every game during the playoffs. They just kind of came in, and then all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, they did something. And then Rick Carlisle will be like, yeah, they did something. That doesn't mean I'm going to now put them in the regular rotation. We're working with 8 guys in a playoff rotation.
Luka, Kyrie, PJ, Daniel Gafford, Lively, and then Tim.
Yeah.
And then
now you have to decide between this. Kleba will get regular time because he's your biggest kind of wing defender. Yeah. So Kleba, then you have Hardy, you have Exum, you have Derek Jones Jr. You know, you're going to have to kind of decide. Some guys are just going to have to watch the game, but they're going to play somewhat of a Corey Brewer role. If you have this is where coaching, I do believe, helps. Is can you start pressing these random buttons that don't really make sense to us? But then Corey Brewer has a strong 10 minutes in a game. You're like, holy cow, should he be playing more? And Rick, like, I press that button. I'm not going to press it again because they might adjust to that button. Now I'm going to press some random Brian Cardinal button for 3 minutes that works, or a Deshaun Stevenson start that works. And you're like, that's where there is coaching. I know it's professionals. It's a free-flowing game, but this is going to be Jason Kidd having to figure out who are my best 8 guys to play in a playoff situation.